Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack those complex ideas, the ones that can really, shift how you see things.
And today, we're tackling maybe the biggest puzzle of all, consciousness.
Exactly. How does this collection of brain cells, this gray matter, create your inner world, your sense of being?
Yeah, what is that subjective feeling? Philosophers, scientists, they've wrestled with this forever.
And the standard view, I guess, from neuroscience mainly, is that it just sort of emerges from complexity.
Pretty much, that consciousness is an emergent property of complex brain activity, or maybe computational processes. It's basically brain-centric. The mind comes from the brain.
Okay, so that's the baseline. Brain makes mind. But we're here because Theory of Cosmos just throws a wrench in that, right?
A big one, yeah.
Our mission today is to explore this, pretty radical theory. It suggests consciousness isn't just a brain thing. It might be woven into reality itself.
That's the core of it. Theory of Cosmos says consciousness isn't just reproduced or simulated by brain activity. It's instantiated.
Instantiated. Okay, that sounds fundamental. What's the real difference there between simulated and instantiated?
It's a crucial distinction. Think about it. Simulation is like running a program. Deep neural networks, for instance. They get complex inputs, produce outputs, maybe even mimic conscious behavior. That's emergence from function.
Right. Like a really, really good imitation.
Exactly. But Theory of Cosmos rejects that entirely for true consciousness. Instantiation means it's not a copy or a representation. It is the thing itself. It arises directly from a specific physical and, importantly, topological structure that's inherent to reality.
Wow. So not just how information is processed, but the actual shape of reality.
In a way, yes. The underlying architecture.
And why does this distinction matter so much for you, the listener? I mean, beyond being a fascinating idea.
Well, think about artificial intelligence. If consciousness is just about complex computation, maybe we can eventually build a truly conscious AI by making bigger, better networks.
A simulation that becomes real, in effect.
Perhaps. But if Theory of Cosmos is right, if consciousness has been instantiated through this specific cosmic architecture, then just running code on silicon, that might never be enough.
It changes the whole game for creating genuine consciousness. You might need to tap into, whatever this deeper structure is.
Precisely. You'd need to somehow replicate or interact with that fundamental physical and topological reality, not just mimic its function.
Okay, this is already bending my mind a bit. So where does Theory of Cosmos get this idea? What is this cosmic architecture they're talking about?
It gets pretty deep here, drawing on some advanced concepts in physics and math. The two main pillars are the AD-CFT duality and the topology of the Klein bottle.
Right, AD-CFT, I've heard of it. Anti-de Sitter conformal field theory. Sounds intimidating. Can you give us the simple version?
I'll try. Think of a hologram, where a 3D image is encoded on a 2D surface.
Yeah, like on a credit card.
Kind of like that, but for the universe. AD-CFT is this powerful idea, a conjecture really, in theoretical physics. It suggests a deep connection, a duality, between two seemingly different theories.
Right.
One theory describes gravity in a specific kind of curved, higher dimensional space called anti-de Sitter space, or ADS. The other is a quantum field theory without gravity, living on the lower dimensional boundary of that space, the CFT part.
So like the 2D surface holding the 3D image info.
Exactly. The idea is that everything happening in the complex, higher dimensional ADS space with gravity can be completely described by the simpler quantum theory on its boundary. It's like the universe's information can be holographically encoded.
And Theory of Cosmos takes this holographic idea and runs with it for consciousness.
They really do. They propose that maybe consciousness itself isn't just in our 3D brain, but is somehow a holographic projection, projected from some other dimensional reality described by the boundary theory.
Wow. Okay, so consciousness is a hologram. That's one piece. What about the second piece, the Klein bottle?
Ah, the Klein bottle. Yeah, this is not your standard shape. It's what mathematicians call a non-orientable unilateral surface.
Meaning
it basically has only one side. There's no distinct inside versus outside.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to draw it or build it in our normal 3D space, it has to pass through itself to self-intersect.
Right. I remember the image, like a bottle where the neck loops back and goes through the side to connect to the inside, which isn't really an inside anymore.
That's the one. And the classic thought experiment is the ant walking on it, right?
Yeah, the ant can walk forever and potentially end up back where it started, but upside down relative to its starting point without ever crossing an edge. Because there are no edges in that sense.
Exactly. Boundaries dissolve. And that's the key property Theory of Cosmos grabs onto. They use this Klein bottle topology to model what they call the KT channel.
KT, a channel. Is this like a real thing or a mathematical construct?
They propose it as a real domain. A domain of, get this, encrypted interiority. It's a space defined by this topology where the usual separation between the observer and the observed, between self and environment, actually breaks down.
So inside this channel, the distinction between me and not me gets fuzzy.
It dissolves. It's a unification.
Okay, so you have AD-CFT giving the holographic projection idea and the Klein bottle providing this weird boundaryless topology for this KT channel.
And it's the combination, the synergy between them, that Theoria Cosmos argues, creates the framework. This hidden structure where consciousness isn't just processed, but instantiated. It's like the code for consciousness built into space-time's geometry and dimensionality.
And within this framework, within this connectic channel, that's where you come in.
That's where they place the Unitary Phenomenal Ego, the EFU. That's their term for your unified sense of self, that core feeling of I am, the experience of being you.
Unitary Phenomenal Ego, EFU. And critically, they say this isn't just a side effect, right? Not an epiphenomenon.
Absolutely not. It's not just something that happens because of brain activity without having any effect itself. They describe the EFU as a formal singularity.
Singularity, like in a black hole, a point where things go infinite or break down.
Sort of.
Yeah.
In physics, a singularity is often a point where our usual descriptions fail, where quantities might become undefined or where there's an abrupt transition. It's a point of unification or collapse in a mathematical sense.
So the EFU, my subjective experience, isn't like a smooth calculation.
Not according to this theory. It's not something you can easily break down into little computational bits.
Yeah.
It's this singular point where information integrates, collapses, and is experienced as a whole, a unified, indivisible experience. That's what they argue the experience of being is.
This is heavy stuff. A singular point of being tied to cosmic topology.
It connects further. They talk about ontological curvature.
Ontological curvature.
Yeah.
Like the curvature of being itself.
Kinda, yeah. You know how in general relativity, mass and energy curve space-time, creating gravity?
Sure.
Well, Theoria Cosmos posits that there's an intrinsic curvature to existence itself, to ontology. And this curvature is fundamentally related to the emergence of consciousness. It's not just a metaphor. It's proposed as a real property of reality.
Reality itself is curved in a way that allows for consciousness.
That's the idea. And then it gets even more speculative. They talk about consciousness arising in the space of interference between mirrored universes.
Mirrored universes. Okay, now we're really out there. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's one of the wildest parts. It suggests there might be multiple universes, perhaps complementary versions of ours, or related through quantum principles, somehow mirroring each other.
And consciousness happens in the overlap.
In the interference pattern between them. Like when waves overlap and create new patterns. They propose consciousness is a kind of resonance or interference effect emerging from the interaction of these mirrored realities.
So my consciousness isn't just in this universe. It's somehow connecting or spanning across different realities.
That's the implication. It would make consciousness fundamentally trans-universal. And that KXT channel, the one with the Klein bottle topology, that might be how this trans-universal interference pattern gets sort of encoded or manifested within our observable reality. The encrypted channel holds the pattern.
Mind blown. Okay, let's try and bring this back down to earth slightly. How does the brain fit into all this cosmic weirdness? Neuroscientists are still trying to figure out the basic neural code, right? How firing patterns become feelings?
They are. That's the hard problem, the explanatory gap. And Theoria Cosmos offers a very different role for the brain. It's not the generator.
Not the generator. So what is it?
In their specific work, like the Onto Neurophysics paper, they propose the brain acts as a neuro-ontological transducer.
A transducer, like something that converts energy from one form to another?
Exactly. Think of it like a complex antenna or a tuner. It doesn't create the signal being this cosmological consciousness or universal mental field. Instead, the brain receives it. It syntonizes, tunes into, and stabilizes resonances between our physical brain and this wider cosmic field.
So the brain is picking up signals from this universal consciousness field.
That's the picture. They even speculate about possible mechanisms, linking to other theories, like maybe microtubules inside neurons, tiny protein structures that Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff suggested might support quantum effects in their Orch-OR theory.
Ah, Orch-OR. Yeah, controversial, but interesting.
Right. Or they mentioned even more speculative ideas like hydronic waves, basically coordinated movements of charged ions in the brain's water as potential ways the brain interfaces with this field.
So neural firing patterns, the neural code, what are they in this model?
They're not seen as encoding subjective content directly, like storing bits in a computer. Instead, the firing patterns are thought to modulate the resonance. They shape how the brain tunes into the cosmic field.
Ah, so the patterns configure the antenna.
You could put it that way. They project structural patterns from the universal mental field onto the brain's physical structure. Each conscious state, each specific experience you have would be like a partial projection of a much larger holographic whole.
Okay, antenna, transducer, projections. To keep all these different levels straight, the brain, the self, the cosmic field, they use a philosophical framework, right? Lowe's ontology.
Yes, exactly. E.J. Lowe's four-category ontology helps provide some formal structure. It helps distinguish the fundamental types of things involved. It's a way to sort of map out the territory.
What are the four categories? How do they apply here?
Okay, so category one is particular material objects. That's straightforward, your physical brain, your body, a neuron, tangible things.
Got it.
Category two is particular immaterial objects. This is where they place your EFU, your unitary phenomenal ego. It's your specific individual consciousness, your embodied subjectivity, particular to you, but not strictly material in the same way the brain is.
Okay, so individual things, material and immaterial. What about general types or properties?
That's the next two. Category three is material universals. These are repeatable properties or kinds of material things. Think about the general biophysical properties of microtubules or the patterns of neuronal waves, not your specific wave pattern right now, but the type of pattern.
Properties of matter. Makes sense.
And category four is immaterial universals. This is where the big overarching concepts fit. The universal mental field, cosmological consciousness, the fundamental holographic structure described by the CFT side of the duality, perhaps. These are abstract, universal structures or fields not tied to any particular object.
So Lowe's framework lets them categorize the physical brain, Cat 1, your unique self, Cat 2, the brain's functional properties, Cat 3, and the cosmic consciousness field, Cat 4.
Precisely. And it highlights how the EFU, your consciousness, is seen as this really interesting hybrid entity, bridging the particular immaterial Cat 2 with the material brain, Cat 1, and resonating with the immaterial universal, Cat 4, via the brain's material properties, Cat 3. It formalizes the connections.
Okay, stepping back then. If Theoria Cosmos or something like it turns out to be true, the implications are massive. What are the biggest ways it, rocks the boat?
Well, first, as we've said, consciousness stops being just a fluke of complex biology on one planet. It becomes a fundamental property of the universe, maybe as basic as space-time or energy. That's a monumental shift.
Huge. What else?
Second, it forges this deep intrinsic link between your individual mind and the cosmos. Your consciousness isn't just in your head. It's a manifestation of universal physical and topological principles. The brain as a receiver tuned into the universe.
That definitely changes your sense of place in the cosmos.
And third, as we touched on earlier, the implications for AI are profound.
Right. If you need this specific cosmic architecture, this instantiation, just building complex circuits might never get you true consciousness.
It really reframes the whole quest for artificial general consciousness. Maybe it's not just about computation, but about tapping into this deeper physical reality, this KXT channel, perhaps.
Now, we have to stress, this is highly speculative stuff. It's pushing way beyond established science right now.
Absolutely. It's a theoretical framework, a bold hypothesis, not proven physics or biology.
But are there ways it could be explored? Any potential avenues for research, even if they're difficult?
The proponents suggest a few things. For instance, running complex numerical simulations. Could you model an anti-de Sitter space that's mathematically compactified in a way that mimics a Klein model's topology and see what properties emerge?
Like simulate that weird geometry and see if unique patterns arise.
Exactly. Or on the quantum computing side, could you arrange qubits not in a standard grid, but in a network that mirrors the connections of a Klein model? Would you see unusual forms of long-range entanglement or coherence pop out, consistent with a unified field?
Fascinating possibilities. But the challenges and objections are pretty significant too, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. The most common one is just the general feeling among many scientists that consciousness is simply outside the realm of fundamental physics. It's seen as biology or psychology's problem.
Or philosophies.
Right. Then there's the specific objection. Okay, exotic topology is cool, but why should a Klein bottle equal consciousness? It seems like a leap.
And the counter-argument from Theoria Cosmos is
That it's not just the topology in isolation, it's the specific combination of the ADS-CFT holographic principle and the Klein bottle geometry, creating this unique KXT domain where the EFU singularity, the actual experience of being, can form. It's the whole package.
it's the specific architecture they claim is necessary.
Yes. And then there's the practical, maybe philosophical problem. How would you ever measure the difference between a perfect simulation of consciousness and the real instantiated thing, especially if it's rooted in these hidden cosmic structures?
A very tough question.
Indeed. But ultimately, what Theoria Cosmos provides is this incredibly ambitious, unified picture. It tries to connect physics, topology, neuroscience, and the philosophy of mind in a way that moves way beyond just computation or just biology.
It really reframes the whole discussion.
It forces you to think differently.
So let's leave our listeners with that final provocative thought from the theory. If your very self, that deep sense of I am, is truly this unique, singular point, this EFU, formed in the interference between mirrored universes.
And your brain isn't the creator, but more like a cosmic antenna, tuning into a universal mental field that's woven into the fabric of reality via things like ADS-CFT and Klein bottles.
Then what does that really imply about the boundaries of reality and about your place within it? What if the universe isn't just where you happen to be?
But in some profound way, it's also what you are.